The night begins with a whisper soft enough to miss yet sharp enough to cut through the shine of every diamond in the room, a whisper that warns this perfect evening will not end the way anyone expects. The doors of the Rosendale estate open wide, and a warm golden light pours onto the marble steps as carriages roll forward one by one. Inside the hall, everything glows. The chandeliers cast bright circles of light across polished floors, and the air carries the sweet scent of roses arranged in towering displays that almost reach the ceiling. The guests arrive in quiet waves, each one dressed in colors that shimmer under the candle glow. Their silhouettes glide across the floor like moving paintings, and every smile hides a plan or a secret that waits patiently for the right moment to break free. Lady Rosendale watches from the top of the staircase, her hands clasped together. Her reputation depends on this night. She has spent months creating an evening so perfect that even the Queen herself could find no flaw, yet her eyes reveal a touch of worry as she searches the crowd. Something feels slightly off, not enough to name, yet strong enough to unsettle the air. As musicians tune their strings, a soft tension hums beneath the music, as if the walls themselves sense what is coming. The Queen arrives next, and the room shifts. Everyone turns toward her, pausing their conversations and adjusting their posture. She steps into the hall with a calm expression, but her gaze holds a sharp edge. She is hiding something, and the tongue can feel it. The Queen plans to make an announcement tonight, one that could change alliances and crush reputations with a single breath. Not a word of it has been shared, and that secrecy wraps the room in a quiet uneasy. Among the glittering guests, the Bridgerton siblings enter with their usual grace. Their presence pulls attention like the tide. Young debutantes glance their way with hope, while rivals watch with careful suspicion. Each sibling carries their own weight tonight, tangled emotions hidden beneath polished manners. A new season means new choices, new dangers, and new hearts waiting to be broken. Far across the room, the Featherington family arrives, their gowns bright and bold. Their smiles look confident, yet something in their eyes betrays ambition mixed with fear. They have plans of their own, plans that could lift them to power or drag them further into trouble. As the orchestra begins its first song, the hall fills with soft movement and rising excitement, yet in the shadow of the carved archway stands a single masked figure, unknown, uninvited, and unnoticed by all but one. Their quiet presence sends a silent ripple through the room, a ripple that will soon grow into the disaster. None of them can escape. A gentle breeze slips through the open balcony doors, carrying in the cool night air, but even that cannot ease the strange pressure settling over the ballroom. It feels like a storm silently gathering above a calm sea. Everything looks perfect, yet something invisible keeps tugging at the edges of the night. Music sways in soft waves across the polished floor, but the conversations beneath it have grown tighter, more focused. People lean closer when they speak, their voices dropping low, as if afraid the walls might be listening. Unfinished sentences cross the room like drifting sparks. Someone mentions a missing letter, another whispers about a broken promise, a third warns of a rumor too dangerous to repeat aloud. In one corner, Anthony Bridgerton stands still, though he pretends to watch the dancers. His eyes track a man who should not be speaking to his sister. They exchange polite smiles, but tension lies beneath them, sharp and thin like a needle. Aloys feels the weight of being watched. She glances back and meets Anthony's gaze, yet chooses to turn away. She wants answers, not protection, and tonight she will seek them, even if it leads her toward trouble. Across the hall, the Featheringtons gather near the refreshment table, speaking with an excitement that borders on desperation. Their newest plan has been shaped with careful lies, yet even the smallest slip could expose them. The mother keeps glancing toward the Queen, as though waiting for the right moment to act, while her daughters try to catch the attention of eligible suitors. Their bride gowns shine, but their confidence rests on fragile ground. Lady Rosendale walks the length of the room, offering smiles that look warm but feel strained. The perfection she tried to build is beginning to crack. She cannot explain why, but she senses danger as clearly as she senses the music. Her eyes drift again toward the balcony, where shadows move too quietly. Someone is out of place, yet she cannot pick out one. Near the edge of the dance floor, the mysterious guest lingers. Their mask reflects the candlelight in cold flashes. They stay silent, observing every conversation, every shifting expression, almost as if Taking notes, they never join the dance, but they drift just close enough to hear secrets others assume are safely spoken. The guests feel the presence of a stranger without knowing why, their nerves tightening without reason. Whispers grow louder. Despite the music, a lady faints, though she insists she is merely overheated. A young man rushes from the hall with fear in his eyes, claiming he has forgotten something important. When he returns, he avoids everyone as if carrying a truth too heavy to reveal. The beauty of the ball has begun to twist. The air no longer feels light, but heavy with hidden intentions. Every step, every glance, every breath carries a sense of waiting. Something is crawling closer through the glittering calm, preparing to break the night open before anyone can stop it. A sudden hush falls across the ballroom, so quietly and so quickly that it feels unnatural. The music fades, though the musicians never stop playing. Their hands freeze midair, as if waiting for permission to continue. People turn their heads at the same time, drawn toward a disturbance that no one can fully see, yet everyone feels. The air thickens, a strange chill moves along the floor, as though the night itself is holding its breath. Near the center of the room, the queen rises from her seat, her gown catching the light in 100 trembling reflections. Her expression is steady, but her eyes search the crowd with sharp curiosity. She lifts a gloved hand to signal the announcement she has guarded so closely, but before she can speak, the candles flicker, not once, but in rapid waves, racing through the hall like a warning. A soft gasp escapes someone near the front, a single sound, but enough to set nerves buzzing. The queen lowers her hand slightly, not in fear but in irritation. Something has interrupted her, and she does not tolerate being upstaged. The guests shift their weight, glancing around, trying to understand the sudden shift in the atmosphere. Their smiles tighten into thin lines, and their whispers return in quick, anxious bursts. Anthony Bridgerton steps forward, ready to offer help if needed, but the queen gives him a look that demands patience. He forces himself to stop, even though every instinct pushes him forward. His breath slows, yet his eyes never leave the flickering candles. He senses that whatever is happening is not an accident. Near the refreshment table, Lady Featherington grips her daughter's wrist with so much force that the young girl winces. She whispers for her to stay quiet and not move a single step. Her plans rely on control, and the night is slipping away from her faster than she can manage. Her carefully painted confidence cracks at the edges like fine porcelain exposed to sudden cold. At the staircase, Lady Rosendale feels the floor beneath her shiver. She tries to hide it, but the tremor travels through her fingers. She has hosted countless events, yet none have carried this strange weight. She walks forward slowly, as if approaching something dangerous, though she has no idea where the threat lies. Her perfect night is unraveling thread by thread, thin like a shadow stepping into its purpose. The mysterious masked guest moves, the crowd parts around them without knowing why, as if pushed by an invisible force. This person walks with calm certainty, every step deliberate and unhurried. Their mask catches the candlelight, but their eyes remain impossible to read. They stop in the very center of the ballroom, the exact place where the queen intended to speak. Silence crashes over the room again. The musicians lower their instruments. The guests stare wide-eyed, waiting for someone to explain what is happening. No one steps forward. No one dares breathe loud enough to break the stillness. The masked figure lifts their chin just slightly, a gesture full of intent. The room trembles, as though something hidden is about to be revealed, something capable of tearing the night open in a single moment. And for the first time, the guests understand this ball is no longer theirs to control. The disaster is coming closer, so close they can feel it brushing against their skin, though they still have no idea what shape it will take. The moment stretches so tightly that it feels like the entire ballroom could tear apart. From the silence alone, the masked figure stands motionless in the center of the room, but the air around them seems to vibrate with a strange, quiet power. A single heartbeat echoes in the minds of the guests, though no one can tell if it is their own or the collective fear growing inside the hall. Without warning, the tall windows tremble as if struck by a heavy gust of wind. Though the night outside is calm, the candles nearest the balcony flare upward, sending sharp shadows crawling across the walls. The sudden brightness reveals every nervous expression, every clenched jaw, every hand gripping a partner too tightly. Panic begins to rise in soft breaths, even though no one dares to speak its name. The queen steps forward, her voice steady yet edged with steel, demanding the stranger reveal themselves, but the masked guest does not move. Instead, they reach into their coat with a slow, deliberate motion that turns every spine rigid. A woman near the front lets out a broken cry, believing danger is seconds away, but what the figure withdraws is not a weapon, it is a single folded paper sealed with a crest no one recognizeth. Moment the seal catches the candlelight, the room reacts as though struck by lightning. The paper slips open and reveals a message written in dark ink. The masked figure holds it up and reads aloud a truth that has been buried beneath layers of deceit, a truth that exposes a betrayal woven into the very heart of the tongue. Gasps rush through the hall like waves crashing against stone. People step back as if distance could protect them from the words spilling into the open. A respected family is accused of treachery, a hidden affair is named without hesitation. A long-guarded secret about a fortune is dragged into the light. The accusations collide with one another, forming a storm of shock that leaves the guests frozen in place. The queen's face drains of color, but anger burns fiercely beneath the surface. She demands proof, demands explanation, demands control, but the damage is already in motion. The ballroom erupts. A man shouts at another. A lady collapses into her chair. Guards rush forward to shield the queen. The orchestra abandons their instruments, letting them clatter loudly against the floor, creating a jarring noise that only deepens the chaos. Lady Rosendale stands helpless at the edge of the scene, watching her perfect night crumble. The legacy she hoped to protect has turned to dust in a matter of seconds. The Featheringtons scramble to deny their involvement, though their shaky voices only make them look guiltier. The Bridgertons gather together, each sibling trying to protect the others as the room swirls with confusion. Then the final blow lands. A priceless heirloom placed at the center of the ballroom shatters as someone stumbles into it. The sound of breaking glass rings out across the hall, so loud that it silences the crowd for a heartbeat. The destruction feels symbolic, as though the night itself has broken beyond repair. By the time the queen regains order, the mysterious guest is gone, leaving only questions, fear, and the ruins of a once magnificent night. The disaster has claimed the Rosendale Ball, leaving the town shaken and uncertain of what tomorrow will bring. Dawn creeps into London with a grey softness, yet nothing about the city feels calm. The sunlight reaches the Rosendale estate slowly, as if unsure whether it should touch the wreckage left behind. The ballroom that once glittered with gold now sits in heavy silence. A few candles still burn, though their flames are small and tired, barely clinging to the wick. The shards of the shattered heirloom glint on the floor like fallen stars, but none of their beauty can hide the ruin that has settled over the room. Servants walk carefully, trying not to disturb the chaos as they sweep away pieces of a night that spiraled beyond control. Their whispers float through the air, but none of them speak loudly enough to echo. The disaster is too fresh, and every fragment of broken glass seems to carry the weight of secrets still humming beneath the surface. Somewhere in the corner lies the abandoned sheet music from the orchestra, curled at the edges as though even the paper felt the shock of the night. The queen sits at a small table in the east room, her posture tall, though her eyes hold a storm. She has not slept. Her mind circles around the masked figure, the letter, the accusations, and the way the truth cracked open without warning. Her attendants stand silently beside her, unsure whether to comfort her or leave her to her thoughts. She demands answers, yet none have arrived. The city she rules feels suddenly unpredictable, as if shadows have grown longer overnight. Outside in the courtyard, the Bridgerton siblings gather in quiet conversation. The morning chill settles on their shoulders, but the real cold comes from the memory of what unfolded. They speak softly, each trying to understand what the masked stranger wanted and why they chose this event to reveal such powerful secrets. Anthony keeps replaying the moment in his head, searching for any clue he missed, while Alois stares into the distance, her curiosity burned into something heavier than simple interest. She feels that the truth shown last night is only the beginning, and something far larger is waiting behind it. Featheringtons move through their drawing room in a state of barely contained panic. The accusations mentioned in the stranger's message have placed them dangerously close to ruin. Lady Featherington paces so quickly her skirt brushes the furniture. With every step she tries to form a plan to twist the story in their favor, but her Confidence cracks each time she hears a carriage passing outside. She fears the rumors have already begun spreading through town like wildfire, words traveling faster than she can control. Lady Rosendale remains alone in the grand hall, her hands resting on the back of a chair. She stares at the destroyed centerpiece, the symbol of her shattered perfection. Her heart feels heavy, not just with embarrassment, but with a deeper fear that the masked figure chose her ball for a reason. She wonders if she unknowingly played a part in something much larger than simple gossip and scandal. Her estate, once known for its grace, now echoes with a silence that feels like warning. Across the city, a small piece of paper sits stuck beneath a stone on a quiet bridge. The same crest that sealed the letter at the ball is marked in dark ink on the corner. As the breeze lifts the edge of the note, the faintest impression of fresh handwriting is revealed. Someone has left another message waiting for the one brave or foolish enough to find it. Masked stranger may have vanished, but their shadow stretches across London, growing longer with each moment. The disaster at the Rosendale Ball was only the first strike, and the town has yet to realize that the real storm is still gathering quietly, preparing to break again. While the town wakes to fear and frantic whispers, one person moves through London with calm steps, as if untouched by the chaos. Their actions unleash the masked stranger, now stripped of their disguise, blends into the morning crowd, wearing ordinary clothes that draw no attention. The only sign of their identity is the small crest stitched inside their coat, hidden deep beneath the fabric. They walk with purpose, slipping through narrow alleys and quiet lanes, choosing paths that keep them unseen. A fog rolls over the river, soft and thin, but enough to blur the figure's outline. As they stop at the old bridge where the second message lies, the stranger studies the note for a moment before picking it up. Their eyes scan the words quickly. The handwriting is sharp and controlled, a sign that the person who wrote it knows exactly what they are doing. The message is short, only a few lines, hinting at a deeper plan already in motion. The stranger folds the paper with care and tucks it away before continuing their journey toward an unknown destination. Back at the palace, the queen gathers her closest advisors in a private chamber. She speaks in a low, measured tone, her frustration held tightly beneath her calm exterior. She orders a list of every guest who attended the ball, every servant who worked the event, and every person seen near the doors or halls. Her goal is simple: find the stranger, uncover their motive, and restore her control over the town. But beneath her determination is a quiet fear. She will never admit the masked figure knew too much, their timing too perfect, their message too precise. Someone within her own circle may have helped them. In a quiet library at the Bridgerton home, Eloise spreads out old letters, documents, and notes across the table, searching for patterns. She cannot stop thinking about the crest on the stranger's message. It looked familiar, like something she had seen in a book years before. She traces possible connections in her mind, piecing together fragments of history and gossip. Anthony warns her not to involve herself, but she cannot step back now. The truth has gripped her curiosity like a hand refusing to let go. She feels that the stranger's actions are not random, but part of a larger story written long before the ball. Far across town, hidden behind closed curtains, Lady Featherington reads a letter delivered to her before sunrise. Her hands tremble as she finishes scanning the contents. The message is written in the same ink, the same sharp hand as the one revealed at the ball. It warns her that her family's lies are only the beginning, and that someone close to her has already chosen a side. She drops the letter as if it burns her fingers, knowing this disaster is far from over and her family stands dangerously close to the center of it. Meanwhile, Lady Rosendale sits quietly in the ruined ballroom, her gaze fixed on the broken heirloom. A soft breeze from the cracked window stirs the dust around her. She has made a decision that surprises even her. She will not hide from the truth. Instead, she will seek it out. Her reputation already wounded beyond easy repair, she senses that the masked stranger came for a reason tied not just to the town but to her own past, a past she has tried very hard to forget. As the city settles into an uneasy afternoon, a single figure stands on a rooftop watching the streets below. The masked stranger pauses long enough for the wind to lift their coat, revealing the corner of the crest hidden within its lining. They study the people moving through the marketplace, a faint calm smile crossing their face. The first message has already shaken the town, the second has been set in place, and now they wait for the moment when the next piece of the plan will unfold. Evening falls softly over London, yet the city feels different now. Every whisper carries caution, every carriage moves a little faster, every household guards its secrets a little tighter. People who once lived comfortably within gossip now glance over their shoulders, unsure who might be listening. The disaster at the Rosendale Ball has turned the ton into a living puzzle, and each family suspects they might be holding the wrong piece. Inside the Queen's private chambers, a long table is covered with report sketches and names circled in red ink. She studies them one by one, her jaw tightening with each new revelation. Her trust has thinned into a fragile thread stretched to breaking. She knows someone orchestrated the chaos, someone with access to information that should have been impossible to gather. Despite her fury, she feels a quiet unease that she will never speak aloud. The masked stranger had not acted alone, and the Queen can sense the shape of a hidden network forming in the shadows at the Featherington home. Panic has settled into every corner. The family clings to whatever hope they can find, though each new rumor chips away at their confidence. Lady Featherington burns the letters she received earlier, but the smoke only deepens her fear. If someone is willing to expose so many secrets, what else might they reveal about her family? She stares into the dying flames, wondering whether she can outrun a truth that has finally begun to catch hair. In the Bridgerton household, Anthony sits beside the fire, his expression marked with worry. He knows trouble is coming, and he feels a responsibility to shield his family from the fallout. Eloise enters the room carrying a worn book open to a page marked with a crest identical to the one on the stranger's message. She explains that the symbol belongs to a long-forgotten society, once thought to be nothing more than a myth, a society bent on exposing corruption within the highest ranks of the ton. The idea sends a chill through Anthony's chest. If this group has returned, then the disaster at the ball was only their beginning. Lady Rosendale walks through the quiet corridors of her estate for the last time tonight. The ruined ballroom has been cleared, but the smell of fear still lingers in the air. She pauses beneath the shattered chandelier, understanding now that her attempt to create a perfect night only served as the perfect stage for someone else's plan. She senses that the masked figure chose her event not to humiliate her, but to make sure the entire ton witnessed the truth. She leaves the room with a newfound resolve, determined to learn why her name and her past are tied to this unfolding storm. And far from all these fears, in a dimly lit cellar beneath the city, the masked stranger finally meets the person who penned the second letter. The two stand facing each other in the pale glow of a single lantern. One speaks softly, laying out the next step of their plan, a step that will drag even more secrets into the light. The masked stranger listens silently, their presence calm, steady, and dangerous. As the lantern flickers, the person in the shadows smiles with quiet satisfaction. They whisper that the ton believes the worst is behind them, but they are mistaken. The Rosendale Ball was merely the first strike, a spark to wake a sleeping world. The true reckoning begins now, and with careful timing, the next revelation will come soon, shaping the future of every family, every title, and every heart caught in this unraveling web.